TWiGames.com.
Welcome to this week's episode of TWiGames.com. We begin with rumors of a Wii 2 and Netflix coming to the PS3. But first, Nintendo has revealed a new iteration of the DS, the DSi LL. Brian, what does LL mean to you?
Don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years. November 24th, 2004 to be exact. That's when the original DS came out. The one we all lovingly refer to as the Fat. It looks like they're returning to the Fat.
Return to the Fat. You know, this screen is 4.2 inches versus the 3 inches of the Lite. And you know, I don't know about this, because the cool thing about the DS Lite and the DSi, because I have those, I also have the old school, you know, PSP 2000. The cool thing about them is you can just slide them in your pocket and take them around, and they're very mobile, whereas the PSP isn't as mobile. So I don't get this whole thing going back to the Fat.
The initial speculation was that this iteration is for old people. The larger screen,
for old people,
better viewing space. The colors: wine, brown, white, very classy.
Yeah.
You see the advertising. There's a cup on the table. Looks very nice as a plant in the background. Owada said that is not the case. He said what he wants is a system that multiple people can watch together, almost like a shared experience.
Yeah, but doesn't every single person who owns a handheld own a DS? Why would they want to look at somebody else's when they can look at their own? I mean, 9 out of 10 people in this world own a DS. That's a true fact.
That's a true.
And in Japan, you know, I don't think I'm wrong to say that the smaller the better. I mean, you know, look at the old school, the first generation Xbox controller. That was a massive failure in Japan. So to come out with this big thing, I don't think it's going to be successful in Japan.
Here's the thing. I think this is an okay iteration. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I think everyone should own a DS, and I can see people liking this for the size and the weight.
Yeah.
But I think Microsoft and Nintendo have a major problem on with their next generation. Microsoft has to convince people that their thing's going to not break.
Yeah.
And Nintendo has a problem because let's say the DS2 comes out. Are you going to buy it immediately, or are you going to be worried that a new iteration is going to come out 8 months later?
Exactly. It's
this is not once, but twice they've pulled it with the DS.
Kind of like what the iPhone's going through, too. Everybody knows the new one's coming in June.
Rumors of the Wii 2 were posted at maxconsole.com. Apparently, it's going to have a Blu-ray drive. It's going to be played 1080p movies and games. It's going to have a Goodwill program where you can trade in your old Wii for a cheaper price. And apparently, it's coming out Q3 2010. Rich, tell people what we think about this rumor.
Well, you know, this is very interesting. You know, a lot of people have been talking about the Wii 2 or the Wii HD for a long time now. Michael Pachter actually called that it may be coming out in 2010. Good job, Michael Pachter. Good job. I'll give you that one. But look, clearly this is a rumor, but it's interesting that the so-called winning system might be the first to die. I mean, that's very, very interesting. It's almost like Nintendo is using their handheld model for consoles, if this actually
So you
happens.
think it's going to be more of a
Yeah, it's not going to be
Lite.
the Wii 2. Yeah, exactly. It's going to be the next version of the Wii, which is just going to be Wii in HD. But I'll tell you what, the Wii has been a big success, obviously, from the beginning, but it's also been a big, big failure, okay? Especially in terms of third-party game support. The whole point of a console winning the systems wars or whatever is going on out there is that the system who's winning is supposed to have the best games. This generation, though, has been like a flip-flop of last time. Like, if you look at last generation, you had the GameCube and the Xbox and the PS2. This generation equivalent is as though the GameCube and the Xbox have the best games.
So is
this third-party games.
Is this going to solve the third-party problem?
It could solve the third-party problems because, you know, maybe they can start porting PS3 and Xbox 360 games to the Wii HD. Instead of coming out with Dead Space Extraction, like a shooter on rails,
just be Dead Space.
It could be Dead Space.
When I first heard this story, I said, this is baloney. This is false. I don't believe it at all. I mean, the trade-in system? When has any video game company had a Goodwill trade-in system?
Yeah.
Helping your wallet out.
Yeah.
But later on in the week, and we're going to get to it, they posted their results for Q2 sales. I could see this maybe being true. Not too far-fetched. I'm actually leaning 90% true now.
Let me ask you this, though. From a business perspective, does this make sense for Nintendo? Because, you know, do they really expect, you know, the old people and the young kids who got the Wii, you know, for Wii Sports? Like, a lot of people consider the Wii just a Wii Sports player. Are they going to actually go out and buy the Wii HD?
I don't think so. I'm kind of with you. I feel like if you're into HD gaming, you probably already own a Wii and a 360 or a PS3.
Exactly. But Sony actually might be a little happy about this. Think about this. Sony has their Motion Wand coming out. All their games are going to be HD. Well, guess what? The Wii HD comes out. Every one of those games comes to the PS3 as well. So how does the Wii have a one-up on the PS3 if this is true?
All this is a little weird. You know, obviously these are rumors.
Yep.
But I could see it happening, to be honest.
I could see
it
it
happening.
happening. Yeah. Netflix instant streaming is coming to the PS3. You'll be required to have a Blu-ray disc in the console to view the instant streaming, and it should be available this month. Brian, as a Netflix fanboy, how happy are you?
I'm very happy. I am a Netflix fanboy. I watch it all the time on my 360. Just got caught up with 30 Rock. Here's the interesting thing. Microsoft clearly had an exclusive contract with Netflix.
Yep, they announced it last month.
PS3, they're going to have an app for this late next year, and right now you need the disc. I think this is Netflix being very smart, and they're probably circumventing the contract to get it on now.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point, because a lot of people are asking, why do you need a disc if you're to stream? Doesn't that defeat the purpose? But I think you're on something here.
And perhaps this will pressure Microsoft to make Netflix a silver option instead of a gold.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I think should be now.
I think it should. Yeah, I don't see it happening, but I think it should.
And here's another thing that I think is going to support my, Wii rumor being true baloney. Is the Wii right now is SD. Mm-hmm. There's lots of rumors popping up that it's going to happen the same thing next year. And if the Wii comes out with the Blu-ray drive, they can use the same process.
Yeah, that is true. Very true. I'll tell you what, though, just the way I look at this from a competition standpoint, one console does one thing, the other one does it as well. Now they have to think of another way to top each other. So this is just great for, console fans around. Yeah.
A lot of doom and gloom for Nintendo and Sony. Nintendo posted a 52% decrease in profits compared to last year, and Sony's game division posted $650 million in losses. Rich, flash a smile and cheer up these faceless corporations.
Brian, this is no laughing matter. This is very serious business here. No, I'm just kidding. But what I will say is that, this really isn't news, especially on the part of Sony. Sony already announced, they forecasted a loss, okay? So this loss is actually in line with everybody's expectations. So it's not that big of a deal, especially in terms of, the stock market. But for Nintendo, actually, this actually is some bad news for Nintendo because, they expected a lot greater profit. So to have your profits go down, especially based on your expectations, their stock is certainly going to take a hit on this. One thing a lot of gamers though don't take into consideration when they release all these profit numbers and all this stuff is, the yen has actually been growing stronger, over this period, which means that sales in the US and in Europe, each sale is less significant to Nintendo because they're dealing in yen. So the dollar is worth, less to the yen.
And way to make Nintendo feel bad, Sony. You know what I mean? Yeah, they had a decrease in profits, but they're still raking in the money.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Obviously, Sony is losing a lot of money on the PS3. And they already said they would per console.
Yeah.
The Slim, though, it's down to just 10 to 20%. I guarantee next year they're going to finally make a profit on the PS3. But here's what it all comes down to for people like you and me. We don't care. We want them all to make money so we can still keep getting products we enjoy.
Yep.
That's really just the bottom line of all of this kind of stuff.
The bottom line. Good play on words, Brian. Mike Acton of Insomniac Games said that Ratchet & Clank A Crack in Time will be their last 60 frame per second game. He said, and I quote, "There is virtually no advantage in sales or reviews of a 60 frames per second game versus a 30 frames per second game." Brian, how important is 60 FPS to you?
It's extremely important for me. I love 60 FPS because I'm one of the few people that can recognize it. And here's the thing is, I don't mind if it's 30 FPS.
What are you, Superman? Like you're one of the only people who can recognize it?
I'm one of the few.
Okay.
But I'm fine with 30 FPS. But here's the thing, it has to stay locked in.
Yeah.
Choose an FPS and stay there. When it's flying up and down, you're all around, you feel like you're losing control of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, Uncharted 2, I think, in fact, this whole news story came about because of Uncharted 2.
I agree.
People at Insomniac are like, wait a minute, we just released Ratchet & Clank A Crack in Time. 60 frames per second. That's quite the feat. Not many games have that. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody said anything about it. It doesn't matter. But you know what? The game doesn't look as good as it could have, right? And that's all that people say. Uncharted 2 was locked at 30 frames per second. I didn't have any issues with 30 frames per second in that game at all. No issues.
I didn't either because it's a slower paced game. Yeah. Now, I think Call of Duty 4, part of the success of Modern Warfare, is because it's locked in at 60. All day, every day, airstrikes can be going off, a helicopter's in the air, you're playing multiplayer, it never slows down, so you never feel cheated by a death.
Yeah.
It's never the game's fault, it's always your fault.
To that point. So what I'm saying is that with Ratchet & Clank, fine, whatever. Make it look better, stabilize it at 30 FPS, I'm cool with that. But Resistance 3, see, that's where this might get into, some issues, but to be honest with you, I'm not Superman like you are, so I may not be able to tell the 60 FPS versus the 30 FPS, but some people do and some people do care. Basically, they're just a small percentage, so I see where Insomniac is at with this.
We're going to take a quick break. We come back, we discuss the holiday releases, and we play the percentages. Stick around, we'll be right back.